My name is Ryan Norberg. I'm 24 years old from Orlando, Florida, and I drive for Rollison Performance Group. So my introduction to racing, you know, my family doesn't really come from a racing background. We got a little bit of horse racing in our family, but that's about it. My dad did a little bit of motorcycles, but not really racing. But my introduction to racing came just watching NASCAR. I watched Jimmy Johnson. That was the first ever driver I ever saw win a race, which was before he was like 5-time, 6-time, champion. So I wasn't a bandwagoner. I was on his side before everything went well. So I watched him win a race. From that point on, I was like, I really like racing. That's why I rocked the 48, and that was like my introduction to racing, was watching him win. It was like at Bristol or something. I can't remember. It was a short track. And from that point on, it was like I was hooked on the sport, and that's where it all started. Orlando Kart Center.
Of course.
And I didn't get paid to say that. It generally is though. Orlando's just a good track. I mean, I think like there's a lot of tracks. If you're slow at if you're slow at a lot of the racetracks, you're probably only going to be like 3/10 off. If you're slow at Orlando, you're about a half second, 6/10 off. It's a tough track. You can't just like get there and just like, if you're not a good driver, there's a big gap between good drivers and bad drivers. So that's why I like it. Jeez, I'm a terrible chef. I'm learning to cook better. Actually, a long time ago, not a long time, a few years ago, I made this dish with like some sauteed mushrooms and a little bit of soy sauce, and I was just throwing random stuff together to prove to somebody that I'm actually a good cook. No idea what I was doing. By the time it had simmered and set and I made these noodles and I put it in there, it was delicious. And it's fantastic. And I still make it to this day. I don't have a name for it. It's literally, it's like mushrooms and butter and garlic, and it's fantastic. And that's the best thing I can make. And like, to me, is like just all culinary skills. Like, I was like, this is what needs it, this needs it, and that was it. And so I'm a terrible chef except for that meal. I have like a great sense of taste with that meal. I focus a lot more on the sport off of the racetrack. Obviously when you're young, you focus a lot on, like, you have school, you have friends, you have a lot of other things taking up your time outside of the sport. And then when you come to the racetrack, you're 100% focused on racing. I'm still 100% focused on racing when I'm at the racetrack, but a lot of my time and energy is spent on racing stuff now. And when I'm home, whether it's training other drivers or trying to get my little garage that I have built out, a lot of my time is focused on racing. That's why the gym has come into being important right now. It's, let's try and get everything in line with this sport and become the best that we can possibly be at it.